Good evening on the world news this hour from BGI TV. First, the headlines. Court grants ex-minister Aguloye 50 million naira bail. CSO urges Tinubu to ignore call for Interior Minister's suspension. Al Akpabio NDDC management in 2020 accused embattled Minister Tunji Ojo for fraud. Supreme Court to deliver judgment in Kano, Plateau, 5 governor dispute Friday. Women are bigger thieves. Tinubu is working on sports. Representing Nigeria is now an all-comers affair or more caro. I am Morire Rabila Lawal. The news in detail. Justice Jude Onwangbuze of the Federal Capital Territory FCTI Court, Akpo, on Thursday granted bail to ex-Minister of Power and Steel, Olu Aguloye, in the sum of 50 million naira. Aguloye was arraigned on 7 counts bordering on fraudulent award of a contract and official corruption. The judge had ordered his remand in Kuje Correctional Center pending hearing and ruling on the bail application. Moving the application, the counsel for the former minister, Adeola Adedipe, prayed the court to grant bail to his client by way of self-recognizance or in liberal terms. He said Aguloye is not of flight risk and that the notion conversed by the prosecution was born out of misconception and communication barrier. Adedipe had appealed to the court not to order the use of a public servant as surety for his client. The senior lawyer also argued that the apprehensive misconception about bail and the mischief argued by the prosecution has been cured by Section 352(4) of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, Ex-Cbn. Delivering the ruling, Justice said the pendulum of the court swings in the favor of granting bail to the defendant. He granted 50 million naira bail to the defendant and ordered him to produce 2 sureties in like sum. The sureties must be reputable and people of means resident within the FCT. They must have properties worth 300 million naira with certificate of occupancy that must be verifiable. They must submit copies of their identity card and photocopies of the international passport to the court. The defendant is to submit his passport to the court and must be present for hearing at all times. The matter has been adjourned to February 12. A civil society organization conference of civil society for transparency and accountability has urged the presidency to disregard a publication by certain persons, an organization led by People's Democratic Party, PDP, for the suspension of the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji Ojo. The minister is alleged to own a company which benefited from contract awards by the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. In his swift reaction, the minister said he had since disengaged from the firm in 2019 and presented a document from the Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC, to that effect. Rising in defense of Tunji Ojo, the director of the organization's strategic communications, Ambassador Aruna Abdusalam, said in a statement that those calling for the suspension of the minister were only envious of his rising profile. Abdusalam said the malicious publication on X and other platforms are a clear act of social media bullying and pressure on the office of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and an attempt to box the President into a corner to take a wrong decision in handling the issue of transparency and accountability among his cabinet members, thereby bringing an atmosphere of lack of trust within his team. To the next story, the embattled Minister for Interior, Olubunmi Tunji Ojo, recently linked to a 438 million naira scandal involving the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, was the former chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Niger Delta Development Commission that clashed with the then Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Godswill Akpabio, over allegations of corruption and mismanagement of funds in the commission. Tunji Ojo represented Akoko North Federal Constituency in Ondo State between 2009 and 2023, before he was appointed as Interior Minister by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. In July 2020, Akpabio, while appearing before the House of Representative Committee on Niger Delta to account for the 81.5 billion naira that was spent by the NDDC, accused Tunji Ojo and members of the National Assembly of benefiting from contracts awarded by the Commission. A mild drama, however, ensued during the probe, leading to the popular phrase "Honorable Minister of your mic," believed to have been made to stop Akpabio from leaking secrets and exposing the lawmakers. The phrase gained popularity in the country then. Also, then acting managing director of the commission, Professor Ponde, walked out on Tuji Ojo and other legislators during the probe. Ponde had stormed out of the hearing after accusing the current interior minister of corruption. The NDDC, I beg your pardon, has however time accused Rep. Olubomi different crimes against the NDDC, and he has responded in the press. The information recently reported out Tujuju was paid a total of about 438.1 million naira by the Poverty Alleviation Ministry for consultancy services. The Supreme Court will deliver judgment in 7 governorship appeals on Friday, January 12, 2024, beginning from 9 a.m. The states are Lagos, Kano, Zamfara, Plateau, Ebonyi, Bauchi, and Cross River State. Late December, the Apex Court reserved judgment in the appeal filed by the Kano State Governor, Alba Yusuf, challenging the verdict of the Court of Appeal and the State Election Petition Tribunal, which removed him from office. The 5-member panel led by Justice John Okoro reserved the judgment after the parties adopted their brief of argument. In September, the tribunal nullified the victory of Yusuf, the candidate of the New Nigerian People's Party (NNPP) in the March 18 governorship election. The tribunal also affirmed Nasiru Gawuna of the All Progressive Congress (APC) as a duly elected governor of Kano. On November 13, the Court of Appeal upheld the verdict of the tribunal. In its ruling, the appeal court agreed with the judgment of the tribunal, ruling that the fielding of Abu Yusuf was in breach of the electoral law as he was not qualified to contest that election. But the governor proceeded to the Supreme Court to seek redress. On January 9, 2024, the Supreme Court reserved judgment in the appeal filed by the governor of Plateau State, Caleb Mutfwang, seeking to overturn the verdict of the Court of Appeal, which nullified his election. Also, the governor, through his counsel, Kanu Agabi, prayed the court to uphold the judgment of the tribunal and set aside judgment of the appellate court because the respondent have no right to question how a party elects its state executives. In November, the appeal court in Abuja sacked Mutfwang and ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to issue a certificate of return to Goshua, but the governor proceeded to the Apex Court to seek redress alongside other states involved to hear their judgment tomorrow. Moving on to the next story. In a shocking turn of events, Aisha Ahmed, the former deputy governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, responsible for financial system stability, has been arrested and is currently in custody, facing allegations of engaging in fraudulent activities related to the acquisition of shares in Polaris Bank, Titan Bank, and Union Bank. The Department of State Services took action against Ahmed, accusing her of orchestrating a scheme involving the misappropriation of funds, particularly the alleged utilization of $300 million for the completion of the acquisition of Union Bank. The arrest has sent shockwaves through the national and financial and political sectors, as Aisha Ahmed was a prominent figure in the central bank during her tenure. The charges suggest an intricate web of financial improprieties, raising concerns about the integrity of the banking sector and the misuse of substantial sums of money in the acquisition process. Furthermore, recent development revealed that President Tinubu has taken control of the 3 banks in question: Polaris Bank, Titan Bank, and Union Bank. These financial institutions, acquired by Aisha Ahmed and her associates during the previous administration, are now under the management and influence of Tinubu. The timing of Tinubu's assumption of control adds another layer of complexity to the unfolding situation, sparkling speculation about the interplay between political figures and financial institutions in the country. Moving on to the next story. The Defense Headquarters has announced that its troops engaged in a fighting patrol, having successfully neutralized several terrorists and apprehended others in the Buhari Area Council of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. The Director of Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, revealed this during a press briefing on Thursday, January 11. Additionally, Major General Buba disclosed that the troops during the same operation eliminated terrorists and violent extremists in Tafa local government area of Niger State. Recall that residents of Adam Kuduru and surrounding communities in the Buhari local council area are being relocated due to persistent attacks by bandits and incident of kidnappings. It will be recalled that on December 24th, bandits invaded the Godom community, which in 5-minute drive from Wari in the FCT, killing the pastor with the Redeemed Christian Church of God and kidnapped 13 other persons. From the north to the south, the Osun Amotekun Corps in charge of the anti-cultism squad have arrested some suspected cultists terrorizing some communities in Ilesha metropolis. This is contained in a statement by the Corps Commander, Brigadier General Bashir Adewimbi, on Thursday in Osogbo. Adewimbi said the cultists were arrested at various spots in Ilesha town in a joint operation with the Nigeria Police Anti-Cultism Unit. He said that the suspected cultists were on the wanted list of the police Anti-Cultism Unit for a long time before they were arrested. The hitman of Eye Confraternity, Busayo Ojo, was arrested with cartridge bullets, charms, and other dangerous weapons. Others include Karim Ojo, Ademola Salamon, Olatunji Ezekiel, Adeyeye, Adekunle, and Tope Oguntade at various locations, Adewimbi said. According to him, the suspects after their arrest confessed to being members of the Eye Confraternity for a long time. During cross-examination, the suspects confessed to being members of the Eye Confraternity and they have been members for a long time, terrorizing Ilesha metropolis and outside. They have been on the wanted list of the Police Anti-Cultism Unit. Adewimbi, however, said the suspects had been handed over to the Police Anti-Cultism Unit for discreet investigation and interrogation before prosecution. A housewife Saadatu Ayuba has asked a Dede Grade I area court for divorce after 27 years marriage in Jalija over importance. The petitioner got married to Jalija by Islamic law in 1997. They are blessed with 5 children, aged 25, 22, 14, and 9 and 7. She told the court, I got married when I was 16 years old. I have never been with any other man before my marriage. Since 2 years ago, I have been having misunderstanding with him. This is because he got a girlfriend outside our marriage. He had not been functioning as a man. I am tired of the situation, impotence, and attitude. I want a divorce in the interest of justice. In his response, Jalija said the petitioner's allegations are false. He added that he had no girlfriend. I married another wife and I'm performing perfectly as a man. The lady I married has 1 child for me. We got married in our village, he said. He added that he had been playing his husband's role to the petitioner as a real man. However, the petitioner faulted her husband's claim, saying that the woman in question was his girlfriend. She said that he was not aware of the husband getting married to another woman. The judge in the incompetence and divorce matter is Malam Seminu Suleiman. He gave the couple 1 week to settle the matter amicably and adjourned the matter until January 17 for feedback. Moving on to the next story. A $750,000 bond has been granted to Dwayne Kev D. Davis, a 60-year-old former gang boss from the Los Angeles area, who was involved in the murder of a well-known American artist Tupac Amaru Shakur. Recall that the defendant was arrested in September 2023 and charged with murder with a lethal weapon. His arrest happened 2 months after Las Vegas police raided his wife's home in search of evidence about Tupac's murder. The Las Vegas police presented Kev D, who is rumored to be the uncle of Orlando Anderson, a well-known foe of Tupac, in court. On the night of Tupac's death, his nephew Anderson, who was reportedly involved in a casino altercation with the rapper's friends, denied any role in the rapper's murder at the time. However, Kev D appeared in a court in Las Vegas on Tuesday for a hearing on his prospective bail release while awaiting his criminal trial. His defense team contended that should they consent to his being released on bond prior to the start of a primary trial, their client posed no threat to the public and no flight risk. They maintained his not guilty plea, claiming that all of his comments concerning Tupac's murder was made for monetary gain and amusement. The prosecution, however, argued that Kev D was a cold-blooded murderer and shouldn't be allowed to walk the street. Kelly Carey, the judge, in conclusion, consented to release him pending trial and gave him a $750,000 bail. Kenny further claimed that Kev D will be placed under house arrest with electronic monitoring while awaiting trial. That story is coming from the foreign scene. Finally, sports story. Bright Omokaro, ex-Nigeria international, says representing Nigeria in the African Cup of Nations has now become an all-comers affair, where bench warmer players in their foreign clubs are the one making the Super Eagles team. He said this was unlike his playing days in the 1970s when it was tough to don the Nigerian jersey. Omokaro said this when in Lagos when he was on a live interview as Eagles prepare level of preparedness ahead of Saturday's Cote d'Ivoire tournament. It's sad that we have a handful of players who are not first-choice players in their respective teams in Europe and they're representing Nigeria at the Nations Cup. This is very unfortunate. The easiest way to get into the Super Eagles these days is just to play for a foreign club. It could be a third-tier division. It doesn't matter as long as you are regarded as a foreign player. Similarly on sports from the coach. The contract of head coach of Super Eagles, Jose Peseiro, will not be renewed irrespective of whether he wins the 34th Africa Cup of Nations in Cote d'Ivoire for Nigeria. President of the Nigeria Football Federation, NFF, Alhaji Ibrahim Gusau, gave the hint in an interactive session in Lagos. The Portuguese gaffer, whose initial contract with NFF expired on July 31st, was added a fresh contract to lead the Super Eagles to the 2023 AFCON, initially scheduled to hold last month. Non-completion of the facilities to host the tournament forced the postponement till January 13th kickoff. Peseiro has come under fire from the local sporting media due to Eagles' uninspiring play under his watch. The contract of our head coach is expiring at the end of the tournament. We will then open discussion with whoever will take over from Peseiro. One thing is certain, he's not coming back, he noted. Gusau insisted that the terms of the contract entered with Peseiro made it impossible to dispense with his service when Nigerians called for his sack. Interestingly, while Peseiro's time with the Nigeria is up, the contract of Super Falcons American coach Randy Wardrum is to be renewed for him to continue to lead the 9-time African champions to greater heights. Wardrum and the NFF have been playing hide and seek over a new contract for the gaffer. He led Falcons to the round of 16 at the last FIFA Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand before crashing out to Britain's Lioness in a nail-biting penalty shootout. With the sports story, we've come to the end of today's World News. Before we go, some headlines. Court grants ex-minister Agoloye 50 million naira bail. CSO urges Tinubu to ignore call for interior minister suspension. Akpabio NDDC management in 2020 accused embattled minister Tunji Ojo led committee of fraud. Supreme Court to deliver judgment in Kano, Plateau, 5 governor disputes this Friday. Women are bigatives. Tinubu is working. We also brought to you from sport. Representing Nigeria is now an all-comers affairs ex-international or Mokaro. For updates of our broadcast on YouTube, our handle is Baba Bagide Imo Television. Kindly subscribe and click on the notification bell. Select option all to access all of our broadcasts. On Facebook, Bagide Imo with Alawi Adibayo. Please like and follow the page. For advert placements of your goods and services, coverage of events and function, please dial the phone number streaming on your screen. Thank you for watching. I am Momrire Rabila Lawal. Good evening.